Got this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane. He's laying down in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. He doesn't want to move. The little lion cubs, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The other animals, they notice this. And they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is. It's too late to be scared. It's time to kill.
All right, folks, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bucks of America podcast. I have a long-time recurring podcast guest, the legend himself, Brian Austin. And he's been going leaps and bounds since he created Beast Mode Archery Challenge. Now, most of you see that watch the YouTube channel. I do that ironic product placement of his jug that he gave me here this past summer at one of his scrambles, which was absolutely a blast. And I recommend anybody out there do it. But our focus today is Vortex and the Vortex Open. So we're going to bounce around because we're friends for a long time now. And it's like, we're going to be able to touch base on a lot of different topics. But man, I'm kind of curious to hear about your experience out West and your elk trip.
Well, yeah, Jeff, I guess, first of all, thanks for having me back on, and I appreciate your time and appreciate your listeners listening in, and hopefully I have something knowledgeable, or I don't know what I'm going to have to say, but yeah, the elk hunt was awesome. I was out there for 18 days, hunted with two different groups. I had both a Colorado and a Wyoming tag, and I came home with both tags.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, man. That's sick.
Right. But no, we had a great time. The first 7 to 10 days we focused on Colorado. It was a group of Nathan that owns Tyrol Basin, where we have our events. And Danae's, we call him Scooby-Doo. His name's Shkumbi. He's from South Africa.
All right.
And then buddy Sam, who helps out with the events, my nephew, my niece's husband, Adam. So 3 of the guys, this was their first elk hunt.
Okay.
And then Sam, who has elk hunted, this was his first archery elk hunt. He had gun hunted several times before. So I went into that trip just, you always go in with high expectations. You want to get an elk on the ground. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was about the experiences. I remember my first time elk hunting, which wasn't that long ago. I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to provide that experience for these guys that, a fun time. And we got on elk. We're on elk almost every day. I think they all got their eyes on an elk. They all got almost within bow range. But just as, hunting goes, we just weren't able to close the deal. So, but we had a great time. A lot of good memories. And as you can imagine, with 5 guys that all act like 12-year-olds, we had a lot of shenanigans in the mountains.
So for the Wyoming trip, you were the only one to be able to connect with a bull or a cow.
I did not get one. No, none of us got one.
Oh, none of you got one. Oh, I thought you got one on both trips. I thought you.
No,
oh, okay.
I mean, I brought my tag home on both trips.
Essentially had tag soup.
I had tag soup. Yeah, exactly.
I still think that's still pretty impressive, though. It's like being able to be experienced and listen to that bugle is just insane. Like my good friend Doug, he lives down in Iowa, and he lives like a mile from an elk farm, and they primarily utilize that for velvet and such. And they have a couple of herd bulls and stuff, and they have a good harem. I'm talking like good 15 cows. And but listening to them just go off in September, because we don't we just go down there to go fishing or do whatever he needs to get done, because he's a 65-year-old man, so like he needs a couple of guys to help him out. So him and his son, like, we're best friends, so it's like we'll go down there and help him out. But that it's just hearing that for the first time out loud, it just makes you just the hair stand on your on end, your nipples just get hard. It's like, let's fucking go. It's like your testosterone just gets through the roof, and it's like you just want to go kill something.
Exactly. No, I mean, I've heard many bugles, and I still get that way. I mean, that's just, I think if you don't feel that, then you probably really shouldn't be hunting, because I mean, it just gets the blood pumping when you hear that. When you hear especially the first bugle of the year, you're like, oh, that is awesome. I mean, there's no other sound like that. From what I've experienced in nature anyway. So
now, have you been putting in for the state tag for here in Wisconsin?
I have, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Same boat, just kind of waiting for just to see it never happen. I'll probably have a better opportunity of over the counter in Utah than anywhere else.
Yeah, I think, we'll be waiting a long time, I think, for that to happen. But you never know. You never know.
That is so true.
So that Colorado hunt, the elk hunt, I was the oldest one in the first group, and then those guys left, and my buddy Peter and his buddy Grover, who I've hunted with several times, they came out, and then I was the youngest guy. So the dynamic within the two groups, it was interesting. But again, we all act like 12-year-olds, I think, when we're out there. So, but on that second trip, I stayed out there. And then two of us had Wyoming and Colorado tags, and the other one had just a Colorado tag. So we were kind of bouncing back and forth. And again, we were on elk. Just couldn't make anything work. It got super windy. There was several days where it was just really, really windy. And anybody that's elk on it knows that it's just really hard when you can't hear them. And, you're just walking around the mountains looking for a needle in a haystack at that point. So. Yeah.
Very true. I mean, it's the same thing happens when you go whitetail hunting. Like, there's a couple of times hunting in the bluffs here where that wind will just pick up, and it's like you kind of trying to figure out, is that the leaves rustling? Is that a deer moving, or is that a squirrel? Yeah. And then 9 times out of 10, it's a fucking squirrel.
Right. And then the one time that you don't look, that you don't get ready, it's a deer.
Yes. Oh man. Did you happen to get a punch of whitetail tag this season?
No, I'm a pretty. Hopefully, nobody's listening to this that's looking for some good hunting advice, because I was a pretty piss poor hunter this year, Jeff. So, yeah, I had plenty of opportunities. I was at full draw several times, and just there's a couple of times I probably should have let it fly, but I just was too patient, and opportunity passed. So
completely get that. Now, were you hunt primarily public, or do you hunt both?
This year it was all public.
Okay. Yeah, this year was all public for me too. But I this was probably by far, out of all the seasons I've hunted since the early 90s, it's like, or since the mid 90s, this has probably been one of the most rewarding hunts or seasons that I've ever had. I mean, I saw probably well over 24 bucks, probably close to 3 dozen does all throughout the area. Because I picked a couple because I got Onyx. I actually bit the bullet and bought Onyx, so this way I can move around and check out different spots. And it's
worth the money. It's for sure.
It is. It is, exactly. I only got the local, the Wisconsin plan, because that's all I was hunting. But it's like, it was so rewarding to be able to go on there, look for all these different places to go, and then just go out there and walk. Like, even early season, I had this beautiful 8-pointer come within 30 yards of me, but where he came through it, he stuck behind the brush line, so all I could see was the side of him. But when I'm looking, I only have a hole about that big, and I'm not going to stitch an arrow through that, so I just let him walk by. It's like, but now I'm keeping that in mind, because I'll go up the bluff about 30 yards, because after that encounter, I went back up there, and like, as I'm crossing through his path, I saw a bunch of deer poops, a bunch of scat. So it's like, well, I'm not going to leave deer signs to go find deer signs. So it's like, well, I'll just go back up there. I set up my ground blind, just sit up there and wait. Nothing came through, which is unfortunate, but it was still, at least I saw that the deer was continually moving through there. And then later on in November, or first week in December, I heard a doe 40 yards. I found a tree. I found a little notch in a tree, and I just kind of climbed my way on up there and nuzzled myself in there. And I was watching bucks come off the private land into public land to where they come into grazing. I saw 4 bucks. 3 of them were 6-pointers. One was an 8-1, but the cherry on top of it was the very end of the day. I was bored. It was 3:00 in the afternoon, and I decided, like, hey, I'm gonna bleed. I'm gonna see if there's a horny buck out there. I bleeded. I shit you not. A 160 class shows up. I got pictures of that son of a bitch on my trail camera to back up the story. But the thing was, I was expecting him to come downwind or come down to the watering hole where I was at, But he actually, this son of a gun, comes up behind me, and he comes on my right side. I'm not a right-hand shooter, so it's like I had to literally do a 360 to get over here. But it was so rewarding because he didn't give two fucks. He walked in. I watched him, and after he had left, I climbed down. I walked over, and like his clearance is only a couple of feet, and trying to get that big rack. Because when I saw him come down, all I saw was this big gate, and he comes up. He comes 15 yards broadside. I'm just trying to just like sit still, don't move, don't see me. And then he's happy to see me. And he just turned around and started walking. He didn't wheeze. He didn't give me the white flag. He didn't stop. It was the craziest experience I've ever seen. But then again, this is the first time actually seeing a big buck like that.
Yeah.
And I went back out Sunday, tried doing the same thing that morning, and he just wasn't having it. So it's like, well, it was a wonderful experience. I got my trail cam still back up there. I got him up in the tree hidden and stuff like that. So this way it's up there hiding. I took a tip from, oddly enough, TikTok. What it was is like somebody just took a masking tape, covered up the lenses, and then in all the IR, sprayed it heavily with adhesive glue. And then I just took debris, just dropped it on it. And then just kind of dabbed it in and stuff like that. So this way it's hidden, but it's 20 feet up. So it's like it's pointed right down. So this way I wouldn't spook them and such. And it's knock on wood, it hasn't been stolen, which is always a win. So I pulled them all down for the season. So I'm hoping to get them back up again in August or something like that. Just to kind of go out there and check. Now we're finally seeing snow, but it's all went north. Like there's like Duluth right now is just getting hammered here today on Monday. And we're only supposed to see maybe 6 inches if we're lucky. And I think now
we're not even that. We're potentially going to get 3/4 or to an inch of ice tonight.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's supposed to be pretty dangerous here tonight and tomorrow down in the southern part of the state here.
Yeah, it's like I want to get out there and actually start walking that public land. So after that fresh snowfall hits, I can go out there and figure out where the bucks are actually walking. Because like the men are always on a mission. You got the women that go in every which freaking direction, and it's so true when you see them out there eating in the morning. And it's like I want to figure out where they're coming in bed net. So if I can catch them when they're not anywhere near either war, I can just figure out where I can set up at for next year. But this winter has been very, very dry.
Yeah, I think here somebody said we're like 16 inches below normal for the year or from last year or something. Anyways, we don't have most of our snow melted yesterday. I mean, we still have some here and there, but not a lot. I actually went out and put up a camera on some public land earlier this afternoon. I've been glassing up some deer, and I just kind of want to see what's out there and see if anything still has antlers or not. The last 3 nights, I've driven around, that hour and a half before sunset. Yeah. And within a half mile, I spotted over 300 deer. It's all on private land. It's near public, but I think right now the deer are just so herded up for this time of year when there's not a lot of food. Fortunately, down here we don't have much snow, so they're running out into those some of the bean fields and the picked corn fields that still have some food. So I think even though it's been cold. Hopefully down, the southern part of the state isn't going to have a real drastic, winter kill, hopefully.
I've been looking at because the unique thing is like for folks that are listening, I live in La Crosse and Brian you live in Oregon, right? Wisconsin?
Yeah, just south of Madison.
So when you draw a line, Brian's actually south of me. So it's like, what I've been looking like for our area for the next 10 days, we're going to see like on Sunday, we're supposed to get low of -2 again, but then right back up in the 30s and such consistently. And then the overnights are about 10 or 11 or so, but it's still, I think our deep cold is over with because January is usually when we see it. But I'm afraid that we're going to see with lack of snowfall, the watershed though, when everything melts, we're not going to see the water levels we need in our creeks, in our ponds and our lakes and stuff like that. So it's going to be another rough year. And even up there in Duluth, it's like their average is like 150 inches a year, and they're barely seeing 60. And our average here in the Midwest here, like along I-90, I should say, is right around that 75-inch mark. And right now we're seeing only in the 40 inches. And that's not a lot. That's not enough to maintain those water leads. Granted, we do, like farmers said, we're not getting the flooding, but you gotta think in the big picture of everything. Like our entire ecosystem thrives off of that snow melt. And if it doesn't have enough of it, we're going to run into droughts. We're not going to have enough moisture. We'll see our food plots die off real fast. So there's a lot of consequences to the lack of that precipitation.
But you know, we still have March, and March usually has at least one blizzard.
I hope so. I hope so.
I'm hoping for a big snowstorm. I mean, that's as much as I'm eager for spring to come. We have not had any significant snowstorms here, so I'm waiting for a big snowstorm. But you know, back to the Scout. Like I love the Scout. Like this, I hate to say it, but I almost enjoy scouting more than hunting. You know, in the springtime, I'm trying to get out as much as I can and exploring new public land and going back in the areas I've hunted to see where the sign was or all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm eager for spring to come for that reason.
Now, are you going to get out there and chase some thunder chickens for this upcoming spring?
You know, as much, I'm not a big turkey hunter. I've done it. I am going to Texas on a pig hunt towards the end of March. I did that last year with Isaac from Vector Arrows and a group of guys. So we're doing that again this year. And I tell you what, that is a blast. That's like probably my turkey hunting is pig hunting is a new turkey hunting for me. So
I completely understand. This year, Craig James from Backwoods Outfit or Backwoods Fit, he is a CrossFit guy up there in Green Bay. I've been telling him to come down and test his might in the Beast Mode Archery Challenge. But with him being a trainer now, it's like his schedule is pretty thin to come down and stuff like that. But there's like so much other events you can attend to that you guys travel to, and he wants to get together and wants to do a turkey hunt. Our first initial goal was, like I was mentioned to you before we hit record, is we want to go out and chase some Marions out there in northwestern Nebraska there, over in the Pine Ridge there. And we were starting to look through everything. We figured out if we could get round trip 1,400 miles, the two of us would be right around $500, maybe $600 for the trip. But now the nice thing is I have a pop-up camper that can fit 3 guys with their own bed. And it's like, well, we bring in a third guy. It's like I got a nice F1 or F250 or F150. And it's like, but it's like, Tom was like, whoever has a better gas mileage, like, let's gladly use that, because like I will gladly pitch in for it and do it. But due to his scheduling conflicts and his wife, it's like it wasn't going to happen. So we're going to. It's already in the books for 2023. So I'm pretty excited about that. But this year I'm gonna go up north to Green Bay. He's gonna come down here to La Crosse, and we're gonna try to get some turkeys. Now he's got a pretty good understanding of turkeys. He's got 8 birds, nine birds. He's got 9 birds, and he's got a full mount, double bearded one. So it's like he's got the science down. Last year he struck out, but it was just an interesting year. It was a learning year for him, where the year before in 2020, he was 4 for 4. Had the canes down, everything. Now I have another guy on my podcast. His name's Jeremy Salter. He guides out there in North Carolina. He was telling me on our podcast, he went for 16 for 16 with all of the guests out there he guided for. It's like he said he figured out the chant, and he never changed it. And everybody that he sat with got a bird. It's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a buddy, Mike Waysbro. I think the big bearded Mike that looks like Santa Claus.
Oh yes, I've seen him.
So he's a heck of a turkey hunter. I don't know how many turkey. I mean, we're talking a lot. He's killed more turkeys than anybody I know, and so he'd be the guy. If I really wanted to go out, he would be my caller and guide and stuff like that. But I'm not. I mean, I get a kick out of calling him and talking to him and all that kind of stuff. But every time I've gone turkey hunting, it always turns into a scouting trip for me. It only takes a short amount of time of no action. I'm like up on my feet, walking around looking for deer sign and looking for new stand locations and all that kind of stuff. So
I figured you being an elk hunter, like having that challenge to bring him in, you would be attracted to the sport where you want to get a turkey like you want to get after elk?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, turkey hunters are going to hate me, but it's just not a lot of work. It's just the things I have to prioritize in my schedule right now. Turkey hunting just isn't one of them.
Which I perfectly understand, because you really stack your schedule up run as soon as the everything starts thawing, because we're our main purpose of the conversation is the now is it the Vortex Edge or Vortex Invite? How do you have it?
So it's it's the BMAC Indoor Games, which we have the BMAC Games, which is at Tyrrell Basin. Mm-hmm. So this is like the BMAC Indoor Games at Vortex Optics or Vortex Edge. It's whatever you want to call it. It's technically at Vortex Edge, which is at the headquarters of Vortex. It's their indoor gun range and facilities is where it's at. So
very cool. Now, how did you manage to work out a relationship to be able to let them lend you their facilities for this event?
Yeah, so this is the third year of actually 4 years if you count when I was directing the Train to Hunt events. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing events there at Vortex for over 4 years now. Okay. They're a main sponsor of ours, which is great. I know I have two brothers that work there. I know several of the guys that have been there for decades. I used to work, I was part of Vortex before it was Vortex, when I was initially Eagle Optics. And then they kind of branched away from that and started Vortex. So we're talking almost 20 years ago is when I worked there. So
wow, I've only known the company as Vortex. I didn't know that they founded with Eagle Optics. So is that their whole? So was it like a buyout, or did the people just want to part ways?
No, it's still a family owned. The original family, the Hamiltons, still own Vortex. Dan was the founder of Vortex. They started out in Madison. He owned a Wild Birds Unlimited store and sold binoculars through his Wild Birds Unlimited, and just started the binocular business very, very small, and just grew it into what it is today. It was Eagle Optics. It was geared more towards the birders and bird watching and nature and stuff like that. And then they just saw the opportunities. They saw the hunting industry and the market that is, and that kind of, I think, probably meshed more with what their hobbies were and stuff like that. And that's when they decided to branch off into Vortex Optics. Their shelter company, or their Shelter Wings is their parent company. That's the company that they founded many decades ago now. So, but yeah, Vortex is still owned. I think Dan has kind of stepped back a little bit, and his four sons are kind of running the business. But I know Dan still has a lot to say about that stuff. So.
That's like, it has a similar story of HHA and how they came around with everything. Like, you started as just doing accessories work, starting with the stabilizers, then eventually working their way up to where they're at today. But it's that customer service and that warranty that just rivals everybody in the industry, and it's like, you and I both knowing these gentlemen personally, it's like, it's just amazing what these guys have been able to create of one simple inspiration.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It is pretty amazing. It's cool to see, somebody local that, have the success and grow this company into what it is. I mean, it's, from what it was 30 years ago to what it is today, from having less than 10 employees to now having several hundred, and they're just constantly growing. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. That
is remarkable. So how are you now? Is this event going to be different than the previous ones, or is this going to have the similar itinerary that you've had in the past, or is this going to be something different, more and challenging? Because I know I love picking your brain about how you like to torture people.
So the indoor event is going to be very, very similar to what it was last year. There is some minor changes. And really the changes are just kind of what's happening around the event. So we start out on Friday, March 4th, which is less than 2 weeks away now. We're doing a 2-man scramble Friday night that I think that there's still spots left. That's capped at like 40 shooters. So since we're already going to be there, because you got to remember, we're coming into a gun range, which is not an archery range. So we're bringing everything, we're transforming this into an archery range. So we're getting there at the butt crack of dawn on Friday to start setting everything up. So then I was like, since we have everything here, why not have more than just the challenge on Saturday? So I got the okay from Vortex to keep the doors open Friday night, and we're going to do a 2-man scramble. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's you basically show up. You don't have to show up with anybody. You show up by yourself if you want. We draw names, so we draw partners for you. And it's going to be a 20 target scramble. So you both shoot the target, but you score the best arrow. And then, depending on, I haven't decided exactly how it's going to go, but we might take the top 5 teams and have like a shoot off and stuff like that at the end. So it's a great way. The scrambles are a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet new people. If you're new to archery or new to bow hunting and don't have a lot of friends that do it, the scrambles are a great way to come out because we match you up with somebody and it kind of breaks the ice in that aspect. So that's Friday night. We're gonna have some cash prizes. I forget what it is, but we're gonna have some pretty good cash prizes and other prizes from our sponsors for that event. So kind of a very laid back, fun event on Friday. Saturday is our main event. That's the challenge, the BMAC Indoor Games. That's the event that a lot of people have been waiting a long time. They've been training, they've been working hard. Some people have been working hard on their couch and eating Twinkies, getting ready for. I mean, we have great hunter athletes that will be there, and we have people that just want to come out and have a good time and see what they can do. So that's it's not just, as I've always said on your podcast, Jeff, our events are not for the musclehead. It's for people that don't take themselves very seriously. It's your average bow hunter. And I think now that I've been incorporating these other events, not just the fitness and archery events, now that I've been doing the scrambles and some of the other 3D stuff, people are coming to them. They're realizing, hey, this is a fun group of people. And that's how basically things have grown over the last 3 years, is mostly from word of mouth. But the indoor event, so we start out pretty early. I think our competitor meeting will be around 7:30 or 8. Forget the exact details. They're on our website, beastmodearcherychallenge.com.
Yes.
But we start with a competitor meeting where we go over all the details. In the morning is like the fitness challenge with the shooting. So
okay,
we'll go in groups of 5. We'll have several heats. Everybody would do 3 rounds. So the first round, I've decided is going to be you have your pack on. You do 6 step overs. We have a 20-inch box that you step up on the box, and we do 20 step overs. Okay, and then if you picture this, you're in a 100-yard long indoor shooting range. Okay, so you have the boxes that are probably around let's say the 40, probably about 40 yards from the regular shooting line. Because we have to be back so that all the spectators and people can kind of have a spot to hang out and watch. And it is spectator friendly. I've gotten a lot of questions. Hey, can we come and watch it? It is. It's not the best setup to watch, but spectators are more than welcome to come and watch. So we got the step overs. We have the logs, the high-low logs that competitors will have to go over those on their way to where their bow is, where they're going to shoot the target. So they have the box challenge, which on the first round, like I said, is step overs. They go over these logs. And then we have a hoist challenge where they hook up their sandbag and they have to pull up use a rope to pull the sandbag up. That's probably 9 or 10 feet that they pull it up. And again, that challenge is to kind of mimic maybe you're hoisting a deer up in a tree, or maybe you have a meat bag or a food bag or whatever it is. Most of these challenges I try to come up with that it's stuff that you're going to incorporate when you're hunting. It may not be specifically whitetail hunting, it may not be specifically elk hunting in the mountains, but it's something you're going to probably do when you're hunting. So they do this hoist 6 times. Once they get done with that, they move to where their bow is and they make a shot. And when they make a shot, the scoring is not like your typical 3D scoring where it's 12, 10, 8, 5, 0 for it's this. Your arrow has a time associated with it because it's a timed event. So for this event, I believe a heart. If you shoot a heart, you get 15 seconds taken off of your time. If you shoot a lung, it's a wash. You don't get any time added on or taken off because it's a kill shot. If you hit a body, it's a 20-second addition to your time. So you got a 20-second penalty. And a miss, I think, is a 15-second penalty. So we penalize people more for a body than a miss, because just like when you're hunting, if you wound an animal, you're spending a lot more time looking for that, maybe blowing a day, maybe 2 days, maybe longer.
Yep.
So we give a little bit more of a time penalty for a body than a miss. So they do that. So in each round, they would do that 3 times. So they shoot, they hustle back to the box, do another 6 step overs, go over the logs, do the hoist, make another shot, hustle back, do it again. So they do it 3 times in the first round. And that takes people anywhere from, I'd say maybe 5 minutes, maybe even just a little bit under 5 minutes to maybe 8 minutes for some of the slower people. So it's not something, the indoor event is geared towards that. It's a quick, I guess, probably more intense bout of exercise, bout of movement, but it's not a long duration. So, because that's a question I get a lot is, well, I'm not a runner. I'm not this, I'm not that. That's fine. It's if you can do 5 minutes of physical work, you're going to be just fine. So that's round 1. Then we go through all the heats. We'll probably have 7 to 10 heats, depending on how many people, what our end attendance is. So you have roughly an hour to an hour and a half of rest between each round. So competitors would do 3 rounds. It all stays the same except the challenge at the box. So on the first round, it's step overs. The second round is going to be burpees. You take your pack off and you do a burpee, go over the box, do a burpee, go over the box. And then on the third round, it's a get up. A get up is where you fall back on your back and you stand up and go up over the box. So some of these people might be like, oh, I never do that hunt. I was like, well, there's a lot of times when you're elk hunting that you're laying on your back and you're getting up, or you're laying on your back, or you have a heavy pack and you're sitting on your butt, and if you're packing an elk out, or even a whitetail for that matter, or if you have a heavy pack, you're sitting down, you got your pack on, now you have to get up. So that's kind of where all of these movements have something to do with hunting. So after the morning, after we get through all those 3 rounds, everybody has their time then, okay? Then we move into the 50-yard range, and that's where we're going to do a 20 target 3D shoot. So again, same scoring. There's not the 12, 10, 8, 5 like a typical 3D shoot. It's every shot represents time either added on or time taken off, or a wash for lung. So after all that, then we accumulate all the scores, and then we come up with the top 5 in each category. So we have men's and women's and a team division, teenagers, not teen. And then we have the open category for folks under 40, and then the masters for the people over 40. So we don't have as many divisions and categories as the outdoor event, but we still break it up a little bit. So then we take the top 5 in each category, and then they compete in a championship round where it's winner takes all. So you basically competed all day. You've done the morning exercise, shooting rounds. You've done your 3D shoot, all to get into that top 5.
Okay.
Once you're into that top 5, your score is gone away. Now you compete for first, second, and third, basically, in the championship round. So, and the championship round is similar to those qualifying rounds that I talked about, but it's going to be harder. It's going to be probably more reps, a little bit longer, stuff like that. So, of course, it has to be, right? It's a championship round.
Yes.
So, and then that's it. That's the day. I mean, it's a long day. While competitors are there, they're going to have a chance to hang out, mingle, talk with people. I know of 2 of our sponsors that are going to for sure be there. Vector Arrows, which is our title sponsor for this year, and Clutch Energy Drinks, which is a energy drink out of Wisconsin. Most of our sponsors are Wisconsin-based, which is pretty awesome. So Clutch Energy Drinks will be there, and Vector, and there might be some others. I'm not for sure yet. They're working on their schedules and seeing if they can get here, but there'll be stuff to do. Vortex will have their showroom open, so you can demo their products. They'll have all of their Vortex wear will be there if people want to check it out, try it on, all that kind of good stuff.
Man, you got yourself a really good setup here. So now, is this your first BMAC indoors event?
No,
this is your second. Because I know you did a pop-up here, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Oh, you mean of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is our first fitness archery challenge of the year. We did, the pop-up event was a few weeks ago. That was our first event of the year. This is our first indoor, I guess, event like this of the year. And this is probably our only indoor archery challenge of the year as well, too. So, but this is the 3rd time of having it at Vortex, though.
Okay. I was wondering, like, why you didn't come back to lacrosse archery here in town.
Yeah, it's I wanted to. It comes down to travel, even though it's not that far. It's about 3 hours away.
Yeah.
It's just to put on these events. It's a lot. So in conjunction with which I'm sure we'll get to, I'm doing the pop-up events. I'm doing scrambles. I'm doing more stuff, and it just wasn't advantageous to go up there and do an event when those people I would hope could come down, because it's just the expense of putting on the event is so much greater than an expense of somebody coming to my, if you get what I'm saying.
I get completely what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I was wondering because it's like, I wonder how the cost would play into it, because even despite the snowstorm you guys endured to get there, right? And people still showed up from Iowa, Minnesota, from Wisconsin. I still because it was I think was it 80 people showed up or something like that, or 90 people?
No, the lacrosse one was smaller. It was only in the 30s, maybe.
30s? Okay, that makes more sense. So how many people have signed up for the Vortex event?
We're pushing 50.
That's great. That's still a great show of numbers there. But usually the summer is where it's all at, when people actually you see those. Are you finally hitting consistently triple digits now?
So for the BMAC Games is capped at 80. The outdoor event's capped at 80.
Really?
Yep. We can't take. There's one time that we had more than that, and as much as I would like to have more people, it loses the integrity of the event.
Oh, all right.
I want these events to be really unique, and it just, think of it as your typical 5K. There's a lot of 5Ks or trail runs that are really cool. They're smaller. They go on some funky trails, or there's uniqueness about it. But then you think about the big 5Ks that are more popular, and I don't want to be that. I don't want to be. My pocketbook wants to be for the masses, because that's more people, more money. But I just don't want to have an event like that. That's not me. I want really different, unique events that people. It's about the experience for them, and it's something that they're going to remember and want to talk about it and come back and all that kind of stuff. So
I get it. I see your philosophy, because at least with 80 people, you're in the green, and people are going to enjoy it. The experience is going to be more genuine than having that many people. Because I know when I went to the one, I think it was Train to Hunt. here a couple of years ago. I think we hit like 99 people or something like that. But then Sunday was a little rough because not everybody showed up for that one.
Right.
Yeah, because I know you. I remember you giving me some tickets there to like, hey, if they show up, like give this to these guys, tell them to start right here.
Yeah, that's right. I remember who those people are.
They hung out with me. They started hanging out with me. We practically polished off a bottle of Wild West.
Yeah, I won't name any names, but they were wearing red, white, and blue on the day before.
Oh yeah, those guys were a hoot.
But the event, the BMAC games, people still call it train to hunt, and that's fine. It is what it is because train to hunt was the first thing around. But BMAC is totally different. Our event is much more detailed. We do a lot of different stuff. I keep competitors, for people that have done train to hunt or kind of know what that is. You would, and I was a competitor train to hunt for years and directed those events, and they were a lot of blasts. They were a lot of fun, and people had a blast at them. But I wanted somebody who was going to travel 1,000 miles to come to my event. That it was going to be something that they felt like they were getting their money's worth, that they were going to get an all-day effort. And really, the BMAC Games is a 2-day, a day and a half event now, but they're going to be active. They're doing something all day long. You're not competing for 15 minutes and then you're waiting the rest of the day for the results. Like that's where back to this whole 5K analogy. It's like, people are going to travel a long ways. People are going to train for months for this. People are buying stuff. There's a lot of sacrifice that people are doing to participate in these events. So I just want to make sure that it's an event that is worthy of that. The BMAC Games, we have so much going on. It's 4 or 5. It's a 4-stage event. I think we're getting off on a tangent here. We're getting away from Vortex, but anyways, there's just so much going on. It's basically a trail run, which is the Beast course. There's a 3D shoot. There's a heavy pack out, and then there's the pursuit stage, which is a mini challenge course. So you have all that stuff going on. You have basically 4 events going on for one event. So.
It keeps everybody engaged, and I completely understand where you're going from it. And it's like when I was there, I got the chance to meet Bob Coleman. I got to meet Fred McDonald. Is Fred still making his trips up from Illinois to? I have not seen.
I hear from him every so often.
Oh, so he's still alive.
He checks in every so often. He's like, Brian, I'm basically that. I'm still alive, but his schedule, and I think with the pandemic and all that BS, some people are being cautious, which I get.
Completely understand. Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Bob Coleman when he came down from Superior. He was 68 years old and he still competed out there, and it was 80-some degrees outside, and he was a trooper. Mm-hmm. But he had fun. He had a blast. Does he still make it all the way down or not?
Not all the time. There's some people that make it to every one, and there's some that only make it to certain ones. And as we do this more and more, we're starting to see more people, which is great. The King of the Hill 3D, which is our big 3D shoot, we had almost 250 shooters last year.
Holy buckets. That's impressive, man. I think I had a conflict on why I couldn't. It's either I was either tied up with HHA USA or a funeral or a wedding, or I was gone. One of 3. I was like, last year was hectic. I hate when people plan weddings in my schedule.
Right. So this year we're hoping I'm hoping to break the 300, maybe in the 400 mark. So I know some people were like, and I'm not going to say this, but people are calling it like the mini TAC of Wisconsin, or Wisconsin's TAC, the Total Archery Challenge, which that's not my objective. My objective is to be who we are. It is a similar event, I guess, but this event, again, back to keeping the integrity of my events the way they are. I've traveled the nation doing those events. I've traveled thousands of miles to wait in line to shoot an arrow, and then you walk and then you wait for another 30 minutes to shoot another arrow. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this is, it's fun to hang out with your friends and stuff, but I will hopefully never if it does happen, it's something, an accident happened or something like happened in order for there to be a big backup. Yeah, you might have to wait a little bit at a target, but hopefully there's no long lines. Heaven forbid you have to carry your chair and sit in a chair and wait for your next, to shoot your next arrow. So while I do hope that there's growth like there was last year, I've taken the appropriate precautions and changing the courses up. We have 3 courses this coming year instead of 2. We're going to have one of the ski lifts running, which is going to be a really cool addition. One of the courses will start at the top and kind of work its way down. Yeah, so we're adding a lot of cool stuff to it to make it better. One of the biggest inputs that I got from a survey I sent out to all the participants was to have vendors. And the last 2 years, because of the pandemic and the county that we're in, there's all kinds of
bullshit.
Yeah. So this year, hopefully that's over with. But if it's not, we're not listening to it. I mean, it's time to move on.
That's the unique thing. Like when I go to, because I went to a lot of HHA USA shoots, and most of them don't give 2 fucks about Lord Farquaad.
Right. Well, it's tough because Tyrol is right within the
that jurisdiction of that BS
of Dane County. So, and it's not, if it's up to me, and even if it's up to Nathan, we'd be like, whatever. But they're the ones that control his liquor license. They're the ones that control all that stuff. So it's like, I don't want to do anything to risk his business.
Completely understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, the least nice thing is, like, with the midterms coming up and with the lack of support that Biden's getting, we're going to, there's already 9 blue states that have already lifted all the restrictions. What's going on in Ottawa right now? There's a lot of big change right now. If Ottawa pulls this off and able to dethrone Castro's bastard, we could be able to see Brandon get dethroned and just keep going down that way. But it's where it's coming up. But then again, last week I saw that Bill Gates, the scientist he is, says there's going to be another pandemic. It's like, fuck me. It's like, what are you guys trying to pull off here?
Oh, it's all fear. Yeah. I mean, there is some legitimacy to this. I mean, it is a real thing. But you don't want to get me started on this. I mean, we're in a county that we are still supposed to be wearing masks inside.
Really?
We have not gone maskless. As of March 1st, we will be able to take our masks off, Jeff.
Yeah, they're gaslighting us.
Can you imagine that?
Jesus, well, lacrosse hasn't been enforcing that ever. It's like, in the beginning, they're like, I get all the weird looks. It's like, hey, I'm if you want to go to Australia and find out what they're doing, like, I watched a video of a police officer choke slamming a woman because she wasn't wearing a mask. And it's like, and when I tell people, it's like, we are the last free nation. If we don't have our Second Amendment, we would be just like the EU, Canada, and Australia. It would just be far worse. So it's like, it's a big thing. It's like one of those things. Well, I sent you that message about having that congresswoman that was going to hop on the podcast. I think her one of her aides probably listened to my my spoiler alerts and said, nope, you can't be on this one because this guy's going to probably ask you real questions.
Right.
Because it's like, because I don't like being fake. It's like, that's the biggest thing. I've listened to Randy Newberg and like the questions he asked these guys, like, because he's had a few senators on his podcast. And
I'm Jake with HHA Sports, and today we're going to talk a little bit about our dovetail sights and how they're going to fit on the new Matthews V3X. So as you'll see, I have a Tetra Max Tournament Edition sight on this 33-inch V3X. All of our dovetail sights, the Tetra and the Tetra Max, will fit on the V3X. Also, in the next couple of weeks, you'll see us come out with a shorter dovetail version. It'll just be our short bar version, which will also fit on the V3X on both the 29 and 33-inch model. One question that we've gotten pretty frequently lately is the windage adjustments on your Tetra and Tetra Max bow sights on the new Matthews bow. And this year we came out with the infinite adjust plate, which you'll see on the front end of your sight. So when you put this infinite adjust plate on, you'll want to either flip it to the inside or the outside. And for the inline mounting sight options, such as the V3X, you're going to want to make sure that the infinite adjust plate is to the outside of your infinite adjust channel. This will allow for optimal windage adjustments. So you'll also be able to find the infinite adjust bracket on our website if you're already shooting a Tetra or Tetra Max Tournament Edition sight. Another way that you can get your HHA to fit V3X is by buying our conversion kit, which you can find on our website at HHAsports.com. We'll be selling those at retail around $60. So basically the only thing you'll have to do is you'll have to take apart your sight at the third access point, and you can convert any Tetra or Tetra Max sight. So if you have a fixed frame, you can get that into a dovetail. So like mentioned before, any dovetail sight will fit a Tetra or a Tetra Max, as well as our short bar version. For more information, you can visit our website at www.hhasports.com.
They're just like, it's just weird, but it's like when you listen to Randy Newberg, it's like he tries to tiptoe around some of the questions, and I just don't like that. It's like we have the First Amendment for a reason, and it's like I feel bad for the ones that really want to speak out. But it's like, thank goodness for Ted Cruz, because you can like, I'm just following his lead, and this guy's getting a lot of attention here.
Right.
But it's just, it's so weird in how everything has been going on. But I'm glad that you guys are able to do this, and Nate continue doing what he does. I mean, and last year having a chance to sit down with you, John, Nate, and just bullshit after he got a chance to shoot. I can't remember her name, but I shot with her husband, or shot. Her husband's name is Jeff, because it's like, well, obviously, but man, it was fun. Like that's like being paired up with her.
Yeah,
Emily, there we go.
Yep.
Emily was a hoot to shoot with. The shit talking she would do was great, and she carried my ass 100%. I still have the arrow that I shot. I think it was a raccoon, where my arrow went completely underneath the target, hit the only rock I could find, and I buried that field point 4 inches back. I was like, that was $20. And I lost a lighted knock too. It's like it was awesome. A lot of fun. It's like those scrambles are just worth the drive. It sucks it's so far from me. I could at least do one a year at least, but it's like, it's just that turnaround drive, and like seeing all the bucks I saw coming back home. I was texting both. It's like, dude, you should see this buck that I saw over here. Like that one I was told you guys, like that rack was outside its ears. It was a big one.
Yeah, that's you have a very scenic drive from western Dane County to up to La Crosse. It's all through the hills and the bluff country, and a lot of great hunting land in Wisconsin there. So, not to get back on point here, but I want to also let your listeners know that on Sunday of March 6th, so we have the Friday night
Scramble.
Thank you. The Saturday challenge event, the BMAC Indoor Games. And then on Sunday morning, we can stay open, or we can open the doors back up. So we're going to do a 30 target 3D shoot from 8 until 10:30. As long as you show up by 10:30, you'll be able to shoot. Okay. So that's just a fun 3D shoot. I forget what the price is on that. It's like $25 or $30 a shoot. So you don't have to sign up ahead of time. The scramble, there is an RSVP online, because we cap it at 40 people. Obviously the games is capped. And then, but the Sunday 3D shoot, as long as you sign up or show up between that time, you'll be able to shoot at Vortex, which is a great, it's, we'll probably have some targets pushing 60, maybe 70 yards, because we can. So there's not a lot of places this time of year that you can shoot indoors at that distance. So It's a great time just to come out and fling some arrows. So, yeah.
That is a fun part, especially when you got to shoot when you guys, because like when I did the scramble last year, and when I pulled in, I thought it was like going to be right there by the clubhouse, like it's all the way back in BFE, but the way that all it is all set up there was just hilarious. And then you guys having that, was it a buffalo or was it an elk you guys were shooting at? You guys were shooting like 125 yards, and to shoot up over a hill, and it's like you're just blind shooting it. That was just fun watching you guys pull that stuff off.
Yeah, the scrambles, especially the outdoor ones, we usually try, as long as they're light, because they're usually in the evenings, we'll come up with some kind of goofy thing to do. So it's usually like a walk pack challenge where everybody pays $10 and we start at like 40 yards or 45 yards, And then the way we do it is that the lowest scoring arrow or arrows drops out. And then we keep dropping back until there's, one person standing. So those are a lot of fun. And the new pop-up system that we have now, we've done 2 events. Well, really 1 event. We had one practice event, but people are having an absolute blast with the 3D pop-up. It used to be something we did over a decade ago. There was a few different businesses, I guess, or shops that had those. Yeah. But really in the last 10 years, it's just kind of dwindled away. And I think it's a lot of people that have this notion that it creates target panic. And my argument to that is, if you think that creates target panic, then you probably shouldn't be hunting, because it's a very realistic, real life scenario where you have the target pops up, or you have a runner, and you don't know how long you have to make that shot. So, I mean, obviously it's not super fast where you can't make a shot, but if you can't load your arrow efficiently or anything like that, you may not be able to get the shot off. But anybody with a good shot process should be able to do it, unless it takes them 30 seconds for their shot process. And that, if that's the case, then I would argue then that they probably shouldn't be hunting or trying to shoot an animal then.
Yeah, exactly. Most people that have always dealt with doing a counter target panic is when they're shooting spots. That's usually that's a common trend that you hear about. Now, with these pop-ups, do you have the commitment or the equipment to create these pop-ups, or is this somebody else's stuff that you're working with? How does this pop-up come together?
Yeah, so it's been something that's been in the back of my head for over a year now. I was like, man, I wish somebody around here would do this. And then just like these other events, I'm like, well, nobody else is doing it, so why not me? So I searched and searched online trying to find a system or how to make a system. And I came across Raised Hunting. They're out of Iowa. They're on the Sportsman's channel. They had a system for sale. So right away I contact them, and the lady Denise, she's like, we just sold it yesterday. I'm like, are you kidding me? But she was like, but we have one other system that's actually in Wisconsin that we use at one event, and that's Deer Fest here in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I am using Raised at Full Draw system. Raised at Full Draw is a non-for-profit youth camp where they teach mostly youth from 13 to 17. They focus on that teenage time frame, and it's a long weekend. They have a camp in Wisconsin, Iowa, Montana. There's like 2 or 3 other ones. They have them kind of across the Midwest and some of the mountain states. But you can send your kid there, and they will teach them how to shoot a bow. They will teach them how to camp, how to make a fire, like how to do all that cool, fun stuff. And they're doing a great thing because they're getting a lot of teenagers that maybe weren't raised like myself. I was raised hunting and in the outdoors, but there's a lot of people that don't have that opportunity like I had. So this is a great way to get, even if your kids are, in a family, a hunting family, I think these camps would still be great for them to learn something and to meet, new friends and stuff like that, especially in the day and age we are in now, where it's mostly screens and stuff like that. So check them out. Check out Raised at Full Draw. It's a great camp. They're probably looking for volunteers. And obviously, they're probably always looking for people to donate. And what better thing to donate than in our youth, and to get them into bow hunting and into the outdoors. So long story short, it's their system. We've created this agreement where I'm going to use their system to build awareness of their camps. I'm going to pay them. I'm going to donate a portion of the proceeds from all the pop-up events to their events. So I think it's a win-win for everybody there.
That's awesome. So you're actually planning on doing more than one event then of these pop-ups?
Yeah, we have The next one is going to be at Pappas Trading Post and Arena. That's on April 9th. We just scheduled that last week. So April 9th, which is not too far away. But so my plan then is, as the weather gets nicer, is to mingle these in with the scrambles. Maybe, let's say 1 month we do a scramble, the next month might be a pop-up, or we might do more events at Tyro. I mean, the spring and we have one big event every month between now and the end of July. So I'm going to use the pop-up systems and the scrambles when the weather is nice and schedule allows to do events at Tyro Basin then. So
okay, I gotcha. That's a nice partnership. I ran into Raised to Hunt at S3DA last June because I got invited by Dan Schroeder, and actually I met him at the HHA USA shoot there in Toma, Sparta.
Sure.
And when I came across, like he came up to me, he got a hold of my wife, and her and Alicia were having a chat. And he came to me and asked me like, "Hey, how like I thought he was asking like how to get into podcasting and all that." So I was in salesman mode, talking about the equipment, all fun and stuff like that. And he wanted to pay for me to come up there and cover the event. I told him, "Dude, I'll do this for free," because it's like I just the fact that I got asked to do this, like this is fucking awesome, man. And I got to talk to so many cool kids out there, like learning about where they're going after this, how they got into it, talking about bow setups and all the tunage and such. I talked to Elle. She graduated from the program, but she shoots for Texas A&M down there, and It's like they are the premier school to go to. And it is just remarkable on what they do. And it's like these kids, like they have long-lasting life experiences with them, and they gives them all types of different things. And so it was a really fun experience. I'm hoping to see them again this year and get invited back to do another S3DA because the episodes are doing well. I mean, I had some really good, meaningful conversations. I gave the kids a script kind of to go after with the different questions. My wife and I kind of proofread. Alicia, which you met, Alicia and I sat there and we spent some time figuring out like what are some good questions that are not going to make kids nervous. But oddly enough, the girls were more open than the boys were. Like
for sure.
They were
at that
right
age?
Up, they were right up to it. And this is like I talked to a few of them between the 3 targets and then spot shooting, and I got to talk to number 1 and number 3 place shooters for nationals. Like the event I went to was for nationals. Then after that, they go it's regionals. Then they go to nationals down in Illinois. And then they have worlds or something like that afterwards. But it is a fantastic program to get kids involved with. And the amount of respect that I have for Dan that does all this, he does the exact same stuff you do. And he's like putting all this stuff together, puts all this stuff on his shoulders to get everything done. And he's kind of like a one-man show in a sense. And it all depends on the venue, depends on how much help he's going to get. But I got to talk to Bruce out of Outagamie Council there. And Bruce has been part of the program for 40 plus years. Dude, that guy is amazing. He is like, I just sat there and just listened to him talk because the way he articulates is just so entertaining. And come to find out, he was stationed in Alaska the same time my uncle was. But he was part of the fire department where he was with communications, so he never really crossed paths. And my uncle was never really a drinker, so it's like so they never really ever crossed paths. So that's how it was. But it was kind of funny to like I was texting my uncle like, where were you during this year in 1976 in Alaska? It's like, what were you doing? I met this guy. It's like, do you know him by chance? Like, no, I don't. It's like, do you know how cool it would be to reunite old Army buddies that haven't spoken to each other in almost 50 years?
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just amazing.
I'm Jake with HHA Sports, and today we're going to talk a little bit about our dovetail sights and how they're going to fit on the new Matthews V3X. So as you'll see, I have a Tetra Max Tournament Edition sight on this 33-inch V3X. All of our dovetail sights, the Tetra and the Tetra Max, will fit on the V3X. Also, in the next couple of weeks, you'll see us come out with a shorter dovetail version. It'll just be our short bar version, which will also fit on the V3X on both the 29 and 33-inch model. One question that we've gotten pretty frequently lately is the windage adjustments on your Tetra and Tetra Max bow sights on the new Matthews bow. And this year we came out with the infinite adjust plate, which you'll see on the front end of your sight. So when you
amazing how small this world really is when it comes down to it. And how I haven't talked to Johnny in a while, but how is he doing? Because I know he went through some back issues here in the fall, but he got back up in the saddle and literally the saddle to get up in the trees. But he's seemed to be pushing through it.
He's better for the most part. He had some chiropractic care and some injections from the doctor, and I think they've got things calmed down a little bit. And he's been working out. He doesn't have pain. I mean, he gets stiff and tight for the most part, or sometimes it kind of catches. Mm-hmm. But I hope the worst is behind him, and he's going to be better. So.
That's awesome. Well, I'm hoping to want to see him next to sit down and have a conversation with him. And he come to find out the company he works for is literally out my back door. I walk around and that's the company he works for. Because when he told me the company he works for, that we deal with forklift services, like you literally work right out front of my back door here. It's funny where because I no longer live in La Crosse, I live in West Salem now, and so like right through my back door, it's where he works at. So I use their back of their building to sight in. I have a bore sighter, so if I need to sight something in, I can go from 30 yards to 80 yards, so I can sight something in if I'm going out shooting or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I found that out when we were out there at the Tyrrell Basin for the scramble. Now, are you speaking of scrambles? Mm-hmm. Are you going to continue doing the scrambles on Friday nights?
Yeah. So I just had this conversation with Nathan. The reason we do it on Friday nights is because they're open. Their restaurant and bar and tavern is open on Friday nights. They're usually not open on Saturday nights. So that's why we usually do it on Friday nights. But with that said, I think if the schedule allows it, I would like to do a couple Saturday events, and I'm thinking of doing something where it's a scramble or some type of 3D, but then we also incorporate the pop-up too. So we make it a little challenge where we do both. Mm-hmm. I got some cool ideas. It's just a matter of how many weekends I want to be doing this.
That is completely understandable. It's like we grind all year long, and it's like your only break is when hunting season really comes around.
Yeah. If you want to call that a break, but
that is so true. I had to get my buddy Craig in touch with you, like because he wants to do a DIY elk hunt, and it's like he's kind of got himself a nice decent following. He's been getting a bunch of flack for him like trying to attempt to do this, but it's like you guys would get along just great because you have the same mindset for it. But it's like being able to pick your brain and be able to experience it firsthand and walk through the whole process, because he's 32 and he says he wants to get a elk hunt by the time he hits 40. So it's like, dude, this would be a perfect match for you guys, because it's like he wants to get out there and do it.
Well, there's, I guess something this ties in well. We haven't talked about the BMAC mini games.
Oh, we got mini games now. Look at this. You're teasing with some more excitement.
So last year we had the mini games after the BMAC games. We had, I think, the week after. I think it was the weekend after, maybe two. Anyways, it was after the BMAC games. It was kind of a last minute thing. I'm like, you know what? Let's put together just a more of a laid back event. And so this year it's before the BMAC games. It's 6 weeks before. It's on May 14th or 13th or whatever that Saturday is. I have it written out. May 14th.
You're going to do it right during the HHA. That's the Toma Sparta shoot.
I know. I need to talk to Chris about that, because I had all my dates out before his, so I need to talk to Chris and have a bone to pick with him.
I don't think you're going to move that right there, because it's like a lot of people really like that weekend because it's after Mother's Day weekend and it fits perfectly. It's great, beautiful weather. I shot it last year. Oh man, it's like us. Like because as you mentioned these dates, I'm looking at all these events. Like, well, the April one I can't make because I have my daughter and I only get her a handful of hours a month. So it's like and it's like she's not really interested in archery or anything like that because she has a bow. Yeah. But I took her this year right around Christmas time to Shields to like maybe get her shoot a crossbow. And it's like, Dad, it's like, I'm going to be honest with you, I just don't have the attention span for it. It's like, fair enough.
Fine.
I can appreciate your honesty. I can appreciate that. So we still shot the crossbow anyways, because it's like, it's like if he does want to do it, or if I want to mix up my my skill set, like, why not shoot it? Because it's like, I may find somebody that I have a friend of mine over in Minnesota that has a shoulder messed up because he worked for Cardinal, and they deal with adults that have cognitive disabilities and such, but he messed up a shoulder, so he can't draw a bow back. So it's like, this could be an opportunity to get him come over, because he always gives me excuses why he doesn't want to do something. But it's like, well, now it's like, I have the equipment, just show up, just buy the tag. You can start from X to X. So it's like, between September and January 30th, we could figure out something out here for you there, bud.
Right. Exactly. So, what were we talking about?
We're talking about the mini games. Yeah. On March, May 14th.
So what that event is, Jeff, it's a laid back, event, where I think this year, this is what it's going to look like. Okay. I haven't made up my mind, but this is probably what it's going to look like. It's going to start out with a hike, and instead of a competition, we're going to do a hike through Tyrrell Basin. We're going to get a sweat on. It's going to be a pretty good hike. And then we're going to do a little challenge course. It's kind of like the pursuit stage of the BMAC games, where it's, you do a challenge, shoot, you might run, do a hoist, or do over-unders, or, kind of like a little obstacle course mixed in with some archery there. So you get the shooting under, stress and that kind of stuff. But it's going to be, in good fun. We'll time it and kind of keep track of time, but it's not like an official, big production event like the other ones are. So we'll do that. We're going to do a wild game feed for lunch. Last year, myself and some of the other guys, we brought some of the pigs that we shot. We had elk, we had venison, we had buffalo that we all grilled, and we provided that for everybody. So this year will be the same. I'm hoping to kill a couple extra pigs while I'm in Texas, and we're actually smoke a couple whole pigs on the smoker, I think, for this event. So we'll have lunch. After lunch, we're going to do like a 3D shoot, probably like a scramble style 3D shoot. But then what I'm going to add into it, because I've had, I kid you not, probably almost every week somebody asks, hey, it'd be really cool if we could sit down and talk, about gear, or why did you pick this sleeping bag over that one, or why this or why that. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that at the BMAC mini games, because I think a lot of the people the BMAC mini games are for people that are just getting into this type of stuff. All right. It's like I said, it's laid back. We're kind of keeping score, but not really. It's a chance to meet people. It's a chance to, test your skills. So we'll get people that are on one spectrum where they're kind of new, and then we'll have people that have been to every one of my events, and they're going to do it. And because it's a good time, but they also want to have get a good workout in and kind of get a test for what the trails are going to look like during the BMAC games. So that's kind of the wide spectrum of people that would probably come to this event. So I figured, why not have a little clinic or a seminar, whatever you want to call it. It'll be myself, and I might pick one, maybe two other people that have, a pretty good knowledge base on both whitetail and elk hunting, in terms of gear, in terms of, just the kind of stuff that newbies, you have a million questions, and just maybe to give some people some guidance. Because as you know, this stuff is not cheap, and a lot of the stuff shops around here don't provide. You can't go and try things on. You can't go and touch and feel and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have stuff there for people to look at, for people, to hold and that kind of thing. So we're going to do that in the mini games. We're going to add that. I think that's going to be, I think people are going to enjoy that. And then we'll have, maybe we'll have a bonfire that evening. We'll see what the weather's like. Last year was hot and humid, but that was in July. This year's it's in May, so it should be beautiful weather. I haven't talked to Nathan yet about camping. Being in Dane County, we have some restrictions. That's why we haven't been able to camp yet. but he is making some additions there at Tyrol. There's a new building being built right now with bathrooms, and so there might be some way that we can maybe do some camping there, but that's to be determined yet. But the BMAC mini games might be an event like that where, hey, if you want to come out and camp that night, maybe. Not saying we can yet, but maybe. So that's going to be a fun event for just to hang out and have a good time. So
that's awesome. That's a really good strategy to do. Like last night, I sat down with Craig James and we were talking about this stuff, and we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of engagement from the audience and asking questions. We addressed them, and we had people ask us like, "What do you guys shoot for bows? What are your favorite animals to shoot? What is your definition of hunting?" A lot of good, solid questions for it, and I really enjoyed it. So I think what I might do in the future is actually start doing like a nightcap on Sundays where it's like I'll pull out a bottle of whiskey and this is what I'm drinking. We'll talk for 30 to 90 minutes long and see where it all goes from there. But it's like it'd be good to bring on people that like yourself that have that experience to just talk tech.
Right.
And then, but also talk about what you're coming up with your events, because like we had a lot of good questions of like, what do you do if you have a hen or you're calling a tom, but all of a sudden he shuts up, and it's like, well, it's probably because he got ran into a hen. But questions like that can help engage both the guest and myself. So this way we go from there, because I didn't host it last night, Craig did. So it's like, it was a fun experience to have that interaction. I really liked that. And it was a good perspective because we had people from Florida chime in, from New York chime in, from Iowa. There's one guy, it's like, I almost want to DM him. It's like, hey, do you want to come up here and you can hunt? It'll be easier for you to hunt in Wisconsin is for me to hunt in Iowa, because I've already looked at the tags for it. So I gotta really go all the way down by west of Des Moines to get tags, because it's the only place that has enough, because they do kind of a quota system there. And so you got to get your thing in there. Cause it's like, I have friends that live down in Southern Iowa, but all those tags are picked clean for non-residents. I was like, well, there goes that idea.
Right. Yeah. I was a tough one to get into, but yeah, I think those are great. I think when you do those, when other people do those, I think there's just a lot of questions. I mean, there's a lot of people getting into bow hunting right now. And there's just YouTube is a great thing. I mean, I go on spurts on YouTube as well. Like I could go months and not even go on YouTube, and then I'm on there. Like the last couple of days, I've been researching, just tweaking my saddle hunting setup a little bit. Watching the Hunting Beast Dan Infault on scouting techniques and all that kind of like. So I go on spurts, but I think YouTube is a great resource for people that are just getting into stuff and trying to learn things. But
yeah, exactly. Like I've been doing research on coyote hunting because I want to because like I've been primarily focused on whitetail hunting and fishing and stuff like that. But I also want to broaden my own content creation, but I also want to increase my own experiences. So during New Year's Eve, my dad and I sat down as we're recovering from a hangover while drinking still. So we were going from there, and we watched. I wanted to search ATN scopes and like learning about the pluses and minuses and the do's and don'ts. And I've got my sight set on a night vision scope, because it's just like for our area, you don't need a thermal scope for it. And it's like, cause like the content I was watching and is absorbing was down in Texas. So they would shoot 2-man teams. One will run night vision, run with thermals. So this way, then you have that identification of the species. But around here, it's pretty easy to spot a coyote, a bear, a cougar, and stuff like that. So I've been buying. I think this is a great advice for anybody. It's like, if you have an eye on something that you want to buy, but it's like let's say it's $600 or $1,000. When you go in there, just go buy yourself a gift certificate. I've been buying. I got almost like $200 in gift certificates for Shields, because that's one of the places that has it, and they usually price match whatever's going on. So it's like, well, why not? I've had really good customer service from them. So every time I'm in Rochester, I buy myself a $50 gift card. So this way, instead of having this big $700-800 chunk of money coming on a bank account, well, now it's just I've already saved up for it.
it's like its own savings account in a way. So
yeah, the money's already spent. Now just got to wait for the right deal or a 45 ACP. So I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking I'm leaning towards the ATN scope. Well,
Jeff, I think this is a good time to talk about the King of the Hill event.
Yes,
because we're going to do. We did a swap meet last spring, which we tied that in with a 3D shoot, and it was the first time doing it. It was kind of it was okay. We had maybe 40 people that came. It was pretty unorganized because it wasn't any. I'm like, let's just do this and see how it happens. Mm-hmm. So we actually I had a lot of people that wanted to participate, but because of the weekend it was on, they just couldn't make it work. So this year, the swap meet, because people have been asking, are you going to do the swap meet again? And yes, and it's going to be on the Saturday afternoon of King of the Hill. So again, the details aren't worked out exactly, but I think we're going to reserve the upper parking lot, up by the tubing hill.
Okay.
For people that want to drive up there, park up there, and set up a table or sell stuff out of the back of your truck. I mean, last year people had backpacks, they had camel clothing, all kinds of stuff. So I think this year I might put a little bit more effort into this and trying to organize it more. Plus, we're going to hopefully have 300, maybe 400 shooters coming through there that day. So I'm trying to figure out the logistics of everything of kind of when people are going to be finishing with the courses. I have other Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is going to be at the King of the Hill with a booth and talking about what's going on, all things elk, both here and out west.
Okay.
We're going to have some more vendors this year. I guess we kind of started talking about this before, but we never went fully into it. But we're going to hopefully have more vendors at King of the Hill. I have at least 3 sponsors that have committed to being there. I'm also working on, fingers crossed, a pretty big camel company coming. They want to be there, but there's also a big event out west that same weekend. So they're trying to find somebody that can actually be at my event, which I understand. We're just a drop in the bucket when it comes to some of these big companies. So the King of the Hill, I'm hoping there's going to be just a lot more stuff going on. We're doing the night scramble, which was an absolute blast last year. And I think we might actually do 1 or 2 night scrambles throughout the year because that was so much fun. Your partner had to hold a flashlight so you can, I want to call it the poacher scramble, but that's not very, that's not
very PC. No. We already got enough. We get enough grief from the antis. We don't need to add fuel to the fire.
And anybody that knows anything, it's just it's a fun shoot at night to, just why not, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll have that Saturday night. We'll probably have some live music, probably both Friday night and maybe Saturday night of the King of the Hill. But I guess just to let your listeners know, it is you do have to sign up ahead of time, and you do sign up for your shoot time. I call it the unleash time. So you have to sign up for the time that you want to start the course. You have 3 courses to choose from, and then you have different time slots to choose from. You can shoot. I need to figure out a way to make sure people understand this. You can shoot all 3 courses in one day. Like you're not limited to only shooting the course that you sign up on. The course that you sign up for, that is where you are starting. Okay. Once you're done with that course, then because of how I have it set up, you can move into one of the other 2 courses right away, or if you want to go to the tavern, have a drink, have some food. Again, it's laid back, it's fun. So that's how that's set up. The reason that, and I think there's other shoots in the area that are starting to do this, where they have a time that you need to sign up for, especially the larger shoots, because if you were to show up and have 300 people wanting to go shoot, well, you're going to be standing there for hours to get out on the course. So this is a way to organize it so that there's not a backup, there's not long lines. You know exactly what time you can show up and shoot and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I think that's probably a wise way to do that, to make sure everybody can get through it and such. And then it gives everybody an opportunity to keep moving through, intermingle with people, have guests, or have conversation with folks and such. So, man, you got yourself a really good, clear vision on how you want everything to go. How everything goes is to be seen.
Yeah, last year went very, very smooth. I had great feedback last year. I think, as I always say, I try to do my best to put on a great event. I have John, I have a bunch of others that help me with this, but really it's the people that come to it. It's the people that come to it that make these events great. And I can't thank them enough, because this was just a dream 4 or 5 years ago. And it's growing, mostly word of mouth, because social media doesn't like archery events, especially during the pandemic. They shut my pages. They don't shut them down. They just don't push my content out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Shadow banning is a bitch.
So it's so I'm really thankful for the great people of Wisconsin, of the Midwest. We have, just for the event coming up here at Vortex, we have competitors from Minnesota, Illinois. What's the other state that's close to us?
Iowa, Michigan.
Minnesota.
That's
Minnesota. There's nobody from Michigan.
Really?
West Virginia, and I think there's one other state. So yeah, we got people coming from all over. I think last year's BMAC Games, we had 11 states represented last year at the BMAC Games. So this year, hopefully, maybe that many, but I think I've had just in the last month, maybe since New Year's, a lot of people that did the event 2 years ago, or know me from my train to hunt days, have messaged me and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming out and doing your event. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?" So I'm excited for this year. I'm optimistic that we're going to get more people out to event, not just my event, but more events. I think with the BS that's hopefully coming to an end, people are just going to be more confident. I think the only thing that's going to potentially hurt us is if gas prices go up a lot. I think people just aren't going to be willing to travel a long distance. They're going to be wanting to stick closer to home for things.
Yeah, because right now, even here in La Crosse, we're seeing $3.40 a gallon. I know when I went up to the cities, they're looking at $3.40, $3.50 a gallon. So, and right now, Brandon's not going to be low on the price anytime soon. But then again, when you learn about the Keystone Pipeline and what all went behind that, it's like Warren Buffett's a son of a bitch, because it's like he owns majority of all of the railroads around here, so he controls what kind of the fuel comes in and out. So it's quite interesting to see what's going to happen, because they're already predicting $7 a gallon, depending on where you're at. So it's going to be tough to say. That's going to be the biggest thing, man. I really miss some mean tweets. Cheaper gas prices.
It's everybody's feelings got hurt there several years ago, and now we're facing what we're facing with right now. But that's the one thing I think could potentially really hurt events, not just my event, but other events. And I guess what I'm going to, what I usually try to tell people is get out there and support your local archery clubs, your local pro shops, because even events like mine is not guaranteed that we're going to be here next year. It's not guaranteed that your local pro shop or your local archery club is going to be here next year. And I get this a lot, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here a little bit. But I get this a lot where they say, "Well, I'll do it next year. I'll train and do it next year. I'll do it next year." Next year has come. Okay. You don't have to be in the best shape. Now I offer events that you don't have to be in any shape. You can come and shoot. But it's not just for my events. It's for other stuff. It's for your local pro shops and your local archery ranges that are putting on 3D shoots. I mean, the participation level is dropping. It's hard to find. I'm a board member of our local club. It's hard to find volunteers. And I'm guilty of that because I'm busier now with putting on my events. So it's harder for me to help out mine. And I feel bad for that. But in general, it's just harder for clubs to find volunteers. And then when you do get volunteers, then the attendance is low. And people need to get out and support this because, I think most of your archery clubs are probably the busiest mid-August through the end of September. But, you know, when mid-August comes and you want to go shoot your bow, but your club is closed because they couldn't find help or their attendance was down, well, now you don't have a place to shoot. So that's my soapbox topic is to get out there and support those people. Buy from your local pro shops when you can. You know, if they're more expensive, maybe ask them if they can drop the price a little bit. But being in this industry, the markups are not, there's not a lot of markup and stuff. No. So the pro shops, because they can't order a huge quantity, I get that just with my t-shirts that I sell. Okay. I can't order hundreds of t-shirts because I don't have the capital to do that. And then I'm sitting on thousands of dollars of inventory. So basically the apparel I sell at cost, at what it costs me to buy them, produce, you know, have them produced, all that kind of stuff, maybe a little bit more to cover my taxes. But people just need to get out there and support these businesses because we're in a time where things are improving, but there's a lot of businesses and a lot of industries that are still suffering. So,
yeah. And you bring up that point, it's like the Toxin app that Jeremy Fisher has created here. I know you guys partnered up with them. HHA is partnered up with them. And it's a great way to those who are hearing this podcast, like try to get your shop or get your club a part of that right there. So this way, then it can draw traffic to your location because we're all here to try to maintain this cooperation, this collaboration with everybody here. And it's like what Jeremy is putting together. And you go back and listen to my podcast. We were in Watoma and we sat down and had that conversation. It's like, he's got a good, clear vision of it. I mean, I'm always tagging them in my post. I'm always using them as branded sponsorship because it's like, I really want to see this thing grow because there's nobody out there like this. And he's putting his blood, sweat, and tears on it. And it's like, he wants to get a Lincoln. So I'm like, I'm going to try to get him a Lincoln, you know, because he parked right next to me when we were in Watoma. And it's like, you know, that's my dream car to get. It's like, dude, it's like, you'll get there. You just got to keep grinding for it and such. And it will eventually happen for him, you know, but I think what he's got going on and the new pins he's dropping, it's going to be freaking awesome. And I was talking to one of my guests here a couple weeks ago, Matt Korbanek, and he is from Pittsburgh. And he's an urban hunter out there. He heard about your event and people got excited about it. But when they found out that you didn't have enough participants, then it just kind of, nobody wanted RSVP to it. So, I'm really bummed about that. That was last year. We were supposed to have a big event out in PA. And Sean from Trophy Line, which is one of our elite sponsors, helped me out. The Washington County Chamber of Commerce, they helped me out. So there's multiple things. People didn't sign up in the time that they need to sign up for in order for me to even just pay for my fuel to get out there. Yeah. The last year was my second year. So I just couldn't take the risk of putting a lot of money into that and endangering my events here because I don't have any capital to work with. So it's a combination of that, but it's also two other things. And it's the supply chain. My large trailer that I have now that I have everything in it that I ordered in December of the year before that was supposed to be in March. I didn't have that until July. I didn't have that until just before the King of the Hill. So that took like 6 or 7 months when I was only supposed to take 3 months to get. So I didn't even have a trailer to get all my stuff out there, which could I have found one? Probably. I could have probably found somebody that would lend me one. But then half of my targets weren't in either that I had ordered the winter of that previous year. So there's just a lot of stuff that was out of my control that I couldn't, I wish we could have done that. So it was a combination of just the people, not enough attendance at the time that I needed to say yes or no, really commit to it. And then the supply of not having enough targets to put on the event and having a trailer large enough to get everything out there that we would have had to put on. But Jeff, okay, my wife's going to kill me. I'm already looking at my schedule for 2023 and getting my schedule together for 2023 when we haven't even started 2022. But I am trying to make a goal to take the BMAC Games, which is the archery fitness, the big event,
trying to possibly take that out west or down south.
Okay.
So, and then I'm also trying to take the King of the Hill, which is our big 3D shoot, to another ski hill closer to you. Can't say where yet. I'm still working out the details on some other.
There's a couple of hills around here that I have my idea in, but I'm not gonna throw them out there. Not while we're recording.
Actually, it's probably northeast of you, actually. But so I have a lot of things I'm working on right now, and I need to do that now so that I can announce that, so people can again plan and prepare a year in advance for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I'm excited for this year. There's just a lot of growth. I have the event here in 2 weeks. A good portion of them are brand new people, so I'm thrilled about that. The winter events are just tough because you have some people's spring breaks are starting. So, it's just a lot of stuff going on. So it's tough to get a really big event in the winter. But we're doing pretty good with that. And I think the BMAC Games, I think, will sell out. There is some exciting news that I can't yet say about the games and the King of the Hill. We do have I would say some pretty good influencers that are coming that have verbally committed. They haven't officially committed. So I'm going to wait and announce that once that is done. So yeah, there's some cool stuff coming.
That's awesome. I think this is a perfect time to end this podcast, because it leaves me excited to what's going to happen for this upcoming 2023 year. But even though 2022 hasn't happened, man, you got yourself a stacked event coming through, and plus, it's like, I'm sure you're going to make some guest appearances at the HHA USA Games too, as well, or those events. So yeah. You are going to have just an awesome year. I mean, when we look at this right now, Brian, is that this is our good old days. I mean, we are living up our best lives. We get to hunt, we get to bullshit with our best friends, we get to shoot archery. It can't go wrong.
Right. I mean, I hope everybody, and I know people that are listening to this, maybe they're not in a good place right now. Maybe, they have physical pain or going through something with their family or friends, but I just told my wife this. I mean, there's a lot of personal stuff going on with my family, but even with hardships, you can still find joy. You can still find happiness, and I just hope everybody can do that and can just get through whatever it is that they're getting through.
Perfect, Brian. I'm going to let you in with that. What's the best ways to find you?
Beast Mode Archery on Instagram and Facebook, as well as the Go Wild app. I'm on there now. You can beastmodearcherychallenge.com on the website. If you need to email me, it's beastmodearchery@gmail.com.
And don't forget Toxin, because you're on there as well.
Oh yes, Toxin. Yeah, there's Toxin. There's a lot of good stuff. I need to have a list of everything that.
That is so true, man. I know the feeling, because there's so much stuff that I forget from time to time again, and I finish everything up. Like, I should have said this. Oh well, no big deal. Right. But all right, yeah. Brian, thank you for coming on again. I've taken up enough of your time. I'm sure Anne-Marie wants you back. No problem, Jeff. I appreciate it, and thank you to all the listeners for listening to us for an hour and a half or whatever it is. Yes, thank you, sir.